Why did I choose an automatic transmission? Why over the last about 3 years as I researched used 911s, and let's clarify terms. Research, at least in my case, is a euphemism for couldn't afford one yet, had kids in college, had to wait. So as I researched over the last 2-3 years, all of my search criteria and the car search websites like cargurus.com or AutoTrader was typically automatic transmission. And there's 3 primary reasons for that we're going to go through. So let's do these in reverse order of importance. Number 1, why did I pick an automatic transmission? Well, I'm a big coffee drinker, and I know it is possible to steer a car, shift a car, and drink coffee, but that's an advanced skill that I haven't fully mastered. So all joking aside, I do love coffee, and I'm an active coffee drinker as I drive, so automatic is just easier. Number 2, I feel like a failure as a father in that I didn't successfully teach my 3 girls how to drive a manual stick transmission growing up. I had a VW Golf, actually Rabbit, in the year 2007, and it has the transmission scars to prove that we did really give it a go. And they were getting pretty decent at it, but honestly, the protective parent took over and said, okay, my kids are gonna die turning left and stalling in front of oncoming traffic. So where am I going with all this? Well, I wanted my girls to know what it's like to drive a Porsche. So they don't yet know how to drive a manual, so automatic transmission was one of the reasons. Now, the third reason, and the most important reason, is honestly, I don't need one more thing to do when I'm driving. I'm lazy. And this car, I feel so connected to the road. It's got a low center of gravity. It's got wide tires. It's got a big 6-cylinder engine right behind your head. There are plenty of things about the car that make you feel like you are in a sports car, and you don't need a stick shift to prove that point. Now, there's a nagging insecurity in the back of my mind. It feels like I need to somehow prove to you that I can actually drive a stick shift. So I'm sorry, we're gonna have to go through a pictorial history of the cars that I've driven with manual transmissions. Let's start out when I was 15 and a half. My sister's boyfriend took me out in the Rose Bowl parking lot, and I drove his Fiat. I think it was a 128, those 4-door green ones. I'll put a picture of it here. And probably over the course of 2 hours, I learned how to roughly drive that manual stick shift. Then, a few months later, my other sister and her husband gave me an old Fiat 128 Coupe. It was the 2-door version of that, and that had a 4-speed, I think. Drove that for a couple of years until the timing chain broke, and I just had to park it in my parents' driveway. After that, I got a 1972 VW Squareback. That was also, I'm pretty sure that was a 4-speed, drove that for years, loved that thing, paid $1,000 for it. And then when I wanted to travel through Europe right after college, I sold it for $2,500. Now, obviously it's worth a lot more now, but that was a great car, manual transmission. The next manual transmission in my life was my sister's Mazda 626 4-door that I bought used from her. And that was a 5-speed, cool trivia, had those oscillating air conditioner vents. I don't know if anybody remembers those, but that's cool. You press a button on the center dash and they would oscillate. So that was a stick shift, great car. Head gasket blew on that one. So I think the next car after that was that VW Rabbit, 2007. That was a 5-speed, great car. That was the last stick shift that I personally owned. However, when we make trips over to England to visit my wife's family, typically, as you know, the cars in Europe, especially in England, are manuals. Now it's changing now, but typically in the past, historically, they've been manual. So a lot of stick shifts. Now that's an advanced stick shift driving experience because you're seated on the other side of the car and you're shifting with your left hand. Not only that, my father-in-law had a Citroen 2CV called Dolly, and that had a really bizarre stick shift. It kind of like went in and out of the dashboard. Okay, so now that I've walked you through a full pictorial history of my stick driving background, I can with just a little bit more confidence say that quite happily driving an automatic Porsche 911. Thanks for listening.